let's see here. It says we're live, but are we actually? Okay, it says we are. Let's see if we can see if that actually works. Oh, yeah, apparently I did have one, and it was live. My bad. Oh, cool. All right, we are live. Fantastic. So once again, Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome to the RC with Adam, a 1 hour or so Q&A session. And otherwise, we're just going to be talking about stuff and hanging out, talking about drones and 3D printing and stuff. But if you have any questions or interesting comments or something to add or things you want to talk about, go ahead and put them down in the chat. Let's make sure this works. That is working. Cool. I can share my desktop with you so we can do some troubleshooting together. In the meantime, I am just going to... I'm just going to be hanging out here. I think I'm going to answer some questions that I got from my comments. Let me see if I can pull them up here. Let's see, how can I do this? Can I window? How does this work? Trying to figure out some technical stuff right now. Oh, and I'm going to be trying to monitor all the chats here. We're live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So people on Instagram, thanks for hanging out. Good to see you there. If you have any questions about drones and 3D printing, go ahead and leave them in the chat. And you can always leave comments on like the YouTube videos or the YouTube live streams that have already been done, or like this one as it's done. Then I will see the comments for later and can answer. Let's see here. So let me do this. So what I will do, let me go to here. Let me go to these. Actually, can I search my channel? Cannot. Let's see, we are trying to pull this. I'll share my screen here with you in just a second. See if I can find this guy we want. Okay, cool. So let me see here. Let me make sure, checking this. All right, cool. On Instagram, welcome. It looks like I'm frozen. No, I'm not. It's just a lag. We're okay. So over on YouTube, let me share my screen with you. So we've got a question over here about the FlySky transmitter. Really, this would be for any transmitter. This person here, precision_projects, asks, what would you actually use the variable switches for? So I'm thinking you're talking about in this case, like knobs. They're basically like rheostats, I believe is what they would be. So they are variable, what would you say? So it's not a switch. It's not like different positions. It's like various positions as you twist the knob. And what that would be used for could be basically a situation where you want to have a large number of positions for something, or like a servo essentially. So you hook it up to a servo and then you're going to get a smoother motion instead of just like this position, that position, and then another position, like a 3-position switch would give you. So you have many different positions, and that could be useful for maybe you want to have, flaps that you have like multiple positions on the flaps. I guess it could be trim of some kind, but you probably wouldn't use it for trim. You'd probably use your trim switches, or maybe maybe have like a little dropper mechanism or something, and you or like a little hatch or something where you like only want to open it like a little bit. Or you could also use it for like maybe you want to angle something, like angle a camera and control a camera using the knobs. That could be an option. Yeah. So there you go. That answers that question. Let's see what other kind of questions we have here. Instagram, welcome. Welcome to everybody on Instagram. Welcome to this about an hour or so. We're going to do a Q&A session here. So if you have any questions about drones or 3D printing, maybe you're a beginner and you're like, wow, how does this work? And why isn't it doing what I wanted to do? Hopefully we can help you with that, especially if you got maybe you got some goodies from yesterday. Who knows? So, or if you just want to talk about some interesting stuff related to those topics, we can certainly do that. So leave your comments or questions in the chat or in the comments section or however that works. We're live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And in the meantime, we're kind of just hanging out, talking about stuff, and answering questions from my comments on YouTube because I'm trying to get better about that. I'm trying to get better at answering my YouTube comments. Oh, side note, not really side note, but I just remembered that. So Simple Planes. Do you guys remember Simple Planes? I know this does not appeal to like a certain crowd, and to a certain crowd it super does appeal to you. But Simple Planes is super fun. It's a kind of like I use it like a sandbox airplane builder kind of game. So they're kind of like a simulator. So I have a few videos on Simple Planes or about Simple Planes. Super fun. This was the original, but they just came out with Simple Planes 2, and I was playing the test play on Steam. You can find it on Steam. And wow, who's that guy? He doesn't have any hair. That's crazy. Uh, and so I have a couple videos here, some tutorials about like how to build your first airplane and other crazy builds that we did. This one was probably one of the best one, to be honest. The T-wing, the A-10 killer. That one's a really good one. So Simple Planes 2 is out, just in case you didn't know. Well, no, the test play is out, not the full game. So, yeah. So that maybe we'll have some more. Maybe we'll have some more content about that. Wow, so I was super bald back then. That's crazy. But there's that one where I put a bunch of uh, weapons and stuff on a Cessna 172, I think it was. Oh man, fun times, fun times. And honestly, I like to use Simple Planes as a way to like if I come up with an idea for uh like a RC aircraft or something, uh do it in Simple Planes to kind of get an idea of how it will fly. And I'm guessing the newer one is going to be even more realistic and stuff. So YouTube, I think somebody's joining us, so I guess it is working. We are live over on YouTube. So welcome over on YouTube. Not a ton happening today. We're a little bit late. Usually we started like about 12 noon. But that's good because I guess that means that either people are spending time with their family and instead of watching me, or they don't have any problems that they're trying to solve with their stuff, and they're actually enjoying their 3D printers and drones, which is great, right? It's um, kind of one of those jobs that like the point of the job is to get yourself put out of a job. So success. Hey, we got Floyd over on YouTube. Says, "Hi Adam, I just wanted to let you know that your videos really helped me out. Thank you, Floyd. I appreciate that. And I'm glad that I was able to help you. What which videos helped you out, or what kind of stuff are you uh what kind of stuff are you into? The 3D printing side or the drone side?" Floyd said over on YouTube, Floyd says the Learning to Fly FPV series, I think is what you're talking about. Awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah, the FPV, the Learn to Fly FPV series is, I actually haven't watched it myself in a while, but I actually want to make an updated one, but it is still, I think, still a great resource. And wow, there I'm bald again, but it's a great resource for, if you, it's not like super flashy and like, oh wow, like this, it's like entertaining to watch necessarily, but it's like if you want to actually learn stuff about flying an FPV drone, this is a great series. It looks like I have about 20 videos, I guess 19 actual ones, but this one right here, I think, yeah, you can see on the screen, of understanding the effects of camera angle, like low and high up tilt. That one is something that is, pretty foundational. Interestingly enough, I think we're going to be moving. Well, who knows what's going to happen, right? But I could certainly see where we're moving towards drones that have some kind of like automatic tilt on the camera, like an automatic, well, like a gimbal essentially, but like really super duper small. I think that there's something already out. I think there's something out commercially like that. Oh, Floyd says that was supposed to say your learning to fly videos are the ones that really helped me out. Okay, yeah, I think I got what you're saying. And I think you were talking about this one, the learn to fly FPV drones. Um, and yeah, so I was using Liftoff simulator. That's a good excuse me. Whoa, that's a good simulator. Um, lately, I think my favorite simulator is Uncrashed. Yeah, I think Uncrashed. There's also Trip, T R Y TRYP, I guess, the Trip simulator, but Uncrashed seems to work pretty well. I can't remember exactly, to be honest, the reasons. I want to say Uncrashed ran like smoother for me and just like sort of felt more natural to me, so that's why I liked it. So, yes, Floyd, thank you for confirming that. But anyway, so this, yeah, so it's crazy because I think this is like 5 years old. Uh, this flight tutorial series, but not much has changed really. You know, like most of this has stayed the same, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of one of those things where certain aspects move ahead super duper quickly, like at light speed, and then other aspects kind of stay the same. Of course, with it's very interesting, all of the extra, shall we say, extracurricular uses of the FPV hobby as of late, as of, oh shoot, I guess actually over the last 5 years or so, in conflicts around the world, uh, the technology has definitely advanced in many ways, which is kind of funny. Because in a sense, it seems like stateside, the 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 you have the regulations, sort of like all this. There's more and more stuff with the regulations, and you have manufacturers like weight limits, for example, and you have manufacturers trying to make drones smaller and lighter and even more like I guess less dangerous. More like prop guards are standard. They're more they're much more, what would you say? I don't know, just much more public friendly, I guess, less scary. But then on the other hand, you have the very same drones that are like, how can we like make this as dangerous as possible? How can we use these like actually as weapons? So it's weird. But the technology kind of like blends. They kind of meet where everybody kind of wants the same thing, as they want to fly further and faster and longer and more reliably and cheaper. So it's kind of interesting. Animate Fun over on YouTube says, "Bro, how are you? I'm doing good. I am doing well. I am doing well. How are you doing, Animate Fun? I hope you're having a good day after Christmas." Floyd over on YouTube says, "Best thing is it was simple to understand and your explanations were to the point. You didn't include a bunch of extra non-necessary stuff." Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're talking about the flight tutorial series, which I still think, even about 5 years later, it is a great resource for like learning the basics, basically, so that you can either follow along in the simulator, or before you even get a simulator, you'll be more familiar with stuff, and you'll be more familiar with all of the language, all of the things, all the the trick names, or the names of the maneuvers and stuff like that. So you'll be able to like, if you're struggling with something, you'll be able to research it and then find tutorial videos about that, because that's a big thing that can be tricky a lot of times, because if you don't even know like what the name of the problem is that you are having, then you won't even know how to uh, uh, figure it out, basically. Yeah. Oh, I think I called the lesson 10 the best trick is how to do a split S. It is the best trick because it's actually just very useful. It's a very useful maneuver. So I don't even know if I'd call it a trick exactly, but it's kind of a trick. You're definitely not flying, straight and level like that. Animate Fun says, "Bro, can you make a simple RC plane?" Can I make a simple RC plane? Like, maybe. I don't know. I tend to overcomplicate things a lot, so I'm not sure actually if I can. But I'm not sure if you mean like a video about one, or what. But I do intend to do more RC airplane videos this year. I think this is the year we're going to be getting back into that, Lord willing. So we'll see what happens. But that is my goal. Like, it's funny because I'm a simple guy, and yet sometimes I tend to overcomplicate everything. But I also like keeping things very simple. So especially with RC airplanes, because I'm into like flying and crashing and bashing and stuff. I'm not really into like taking a ton of time to make something that flies like super nicely, because I like something that's like maneuverable and that can take a beating. So in that regard, yeah, that is my goal, is to make simple RC airplanes. So well, I don't want to give it all away right now. So, but I got something going on in my mind about that one. Just getting it out of my mind is the key. Floyd over on YouTube says, "Flying in the simulator was one thing on my computer, but once I started putting my goggles on and connecting them to the computer to use the same, it was like a whole different world." That's a great idea. I've actually never done that. Um, Yeah, that's a great idea, Floyd, over on YouTube, is to connect your FPV goggles to your computer simulator, because then it's like you're really simulating it. You really get that experience. Um, and I think it has been a hot minute since I've looked at FPV goggles. So I'm sure there's a lot of new stuff out there, but it's probably getting easier and easier to connect them to your computer with either like HDMI inputs or maybe just USB-C or something like that. So that's a great idea. Use a because then you can have your goggles and your transmitter, and then practice flying before you even necessarily get a drone, which is great. Super great, super duper duper recommend, because you buy an FPV simulator, it costs like, I don't know, probably like the price of like one battery. No, depending on what you're flying, but if you're doing like a 6S battery, which is kind of more common now, those are like 20, 30, $40 a pop depending on what you get, and you could get a simulator for that much, and then you never have to recharge when you're flying on a simulator. So it's pretty great. In fact, I need to get back up on the simulator, and we could do some maybe we could do some live stream simulator stuff. Getting it to run smoothly might be a little issue, but we'll see. But if you're just joining us over on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, welcome. My name is Adam, and this is RC with Adam, and we're doing a live Q&A hour or so to help you if you've got any drone or 3D printed related questions, burning questions. Maybe you got something new for Christmas and it's not working how it's supposed to work. Maybe we can help you out with that. So leave your questions and comments down in the chat or the comment section, and we'll see if we can figure something out there. Floyd says, yeah, the goggles are super easy to connect to the computer. Floyd, what kind of goggles do you have? What's your setup? What's your goggles and your transmitter and your drone setup? May as well. That'll be something to talk about. East Coast Thrills over on YouTube says learning to fly FPV is easy. Flat camera, no tilt will slow you down. You'll slow you down your speed to help you get better. So it sounds like what East Coast Thrills is saying is it's easier to learn to fly the FPV drone with a flat camera tilt. So meaning that the camera is pointing straight ahead with the drone instead of being tilted up at an angle. That is like mostly correct. I would say put in a little bit of up tilt, because if you have zero up tilt, it can be, the controls change, and that's what I was kind of explaining in the very first video in this playlist about it's titled 3 Important Effects of FPV Camera Angle, in parentheses low versus high up tilt. And so basically your because the up tilt changes kind of the angle that your drone is going to be moving forward at, it's going to change how your inputs affect the drone in flight. But yes, definitely lower camera angle is going to be much better. Don't go like, oh, I'm a pro racer, my first time flying this drone, I need like 45-degree camera up tilt so I can go fast. You can go fast, but it's going to be really hard to not go fast. So you'll probably go really fast into a tree. Floyd over on YouTube says the goggles are Goggles X Mario 5 with Moonlight VTX Boxer radio. What is Goggles X? Not familiar with that. I think the Mario 5, that's a frame, or that's the Speedy Bee, isn't it? Was that a Mario 5? I think that's a Speedy Bee frame, or is it a Ready to Fly? Does Speedy Bee make Ready to Fly drones? I don't actually know. I don't remember. But I know the Boxer radio. That's a Radio Master Boxer radio. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh, lesson 6. What is disarming and why practice it? Yeah, that's a good one. Wow. Yeah, I'm really glad I made these videos because that's something about like that's something I like about making videos is that I don't have to like remember all of it because I'm probably gonna forget it. And then because you could ask me, you could be like, what are some important things to know about flight training? And if I'm not like fresh in it, I'll be like, well, you gotta make sure that your drone doesn't crash. But this is like specifics, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Floyd. Yes, I was asking what your setup was. Yeah, I don't know what the goggles X are. What is goggles X? Let's see, y'all. I know it the walk snail goggles X. No, it was just the frame that I built. Okay, yeah. So Speedy B frame. So walk snail. Walk snail. Walk snail. Come on now. Walk snail. What kind of name is that? I'm just wondering, like, where do these names come from? Is it a random word generator? You know, what is it behind that? So walk snail. Search Assist says Walk Snail Avatar HD Goggles XR Advanced FPV goggles featuring 1080p resolution, 100 frames per second, designed for immersion. Blah 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 blah. They do have HDMI output, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I am way behind on the times when it comes to goggles and stuff. So Cadex FPV, we've got the Walk. Let's see, you can see my screen, right? Yeah, the Walk Snail Avatar HD Goggles X. Well, I guess. Wait, is it just the goggles, or is this? Looks like this is a bundle. Oh no, they're kind of showing just the goggles. Holy smoke! Whoa, they look very DJI inspired. Oh dang, is that 2 HDMI outs? Oh, HDMI out, HDMI in. Oh yeah, that would be super easy to connect. Nice. East Coast Thrills says it looks like they're using a Free Sky iFlight Nazgul 5-inch analog baby Trans Q8 radio. Not familiar with that one. So this is something that's very interesting that I need to like. I don't know. I've mixed feelings about. Well, there's a lot of new technology, so there's a lot of sort of decisions to make to get into it. Holy smokes! There's laser beams that shoot at you. What? A convenient energy way to save to turn off. Okay, I guess it's just sensing, so it turns off the screen when you like it's not probably when it's like bright or something. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. What I'm curious about is built-in gyro hardware. Okay, that's really cool. That is really cool. Man, there's like wow. I get so excited and also overwhelmed at the same time with all the new stuff that is available because there's so much. There's so much available. East Coast Thrill says, not familiar because I'm on an 8-year-old radio. Well, I mean, I was probably looking at radios about 8 years ago, but is Trans Q8 the brand? I don't know. But yeah, 8 years in FPV land is like a bazillion, basically. All right, welcome everybody on Instagram. I can't tell if the Instagram if people are joining but then nobody's watching. I don't know how that works, but anyway, welcome on Instagram. Welcome to the 1 hour or so Q&A session. So if you got questions that you need answering, we're going to try and do that here. So leave them in the comments or in the chat section, and we will try to help you out today. That's the goal here over at RC with Adam Industries. We want you to spend more time flying and 3D printing and less time pulling your hair out. That's the goal. Anyway, right now we're just taking a look at some of these Walk Snail Avatar HD Goggles X that our YouTube viewer was mentioning. And we are live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. By the way. Yeah, so one thing I'm wondering about, in fact, because I just had this up on this other page, we were looking at it previously. The DJI O4 Air Unit, the Air Unit Pro, looks pretty sweet. I haven't looked up any reviews on that, so I probably should. And then you got the O4 Air Unit. So basically, it looks like DJI said, okay, everybody's taking apart the Air Unit to make it light, to run like a naked Air Unit. So let's just sell them a naked Air Unit, and I assume the cost is less. And then we'll do the Air Unit Pro that has like all the goodies, which should have like, what would you say? Good enough quality to like film stuff. Yeah, basically. And then you have the O4 Air Unit, which would be more for just piloting. And, yeah, basically, I think so. I mean, I wonder what the quality difference is. I wonder if it looks like the transmission range is different as well. Similar quality, but yeah, the Air Unit Pro has the D-Log 10-bit D-Log M color mode. So basically, you're gonna have like more color information on that one. Anyway, so I got distracted there, but the point is that there are so many options for the FPV cameras. So you have the DJI and their digital stuff. DJI is, from my perspective anyway, is the one that like basically revolutionized and made digital FPV common. And then you have the is it Cadex FPV Walk Snail? Are they the ones that make it, or is Walk Snail a different brand? Because I've heard people say it in different ways. Because they have Cadex FPV and then they have Walk Snail. So I don't really know. But anyway, they have these guys. Oh, okay, goggles only. There we go. So the goggles only is $459, which isn't cheap, you know. They do have the Avatar HD goggles L only, which I assume would be like light or something like that, boxed style. So that's interesting. But the big difference is that with Walk Snail, it's also digital, and I believe it's, well, they say HD, but is that really a technical specification, or is that more of just a marketing thing? But it is digital, but it's I'm not sure about the quality, the video quality. I mean, but potentially it's much cheaper, because if we look at the Air Units, so if we're looking at this Air Unit, why is this in Belgium? I don't know. Let's make it America dollars. There we go. So the DJI O4 Air Unit Pro is $229. Yeah, that's pretty steep, when you're talking about just the FPV unit itself. But you're kind of not. You're also talking about it's also the camera. Like, it's also a recording camera. And then the normal Air Unit is only $109, which compared to analog is like a ton, because you could get like a whole analog setup for like $30 or something. So just kind of a different situation there. But then the Walk Snail Avatar HD kit, I don't know all the differences about these guys, or like what would be comparable, but it looks like a pretty similar situation. GT, not sure what the GT is for. HD Pro kit. GT has a big heatsink, so I would assume this could do like the most um, video recording kind of stuff. Assuming so, that's 179. So it's definitely less than 229, but yeah. But again, so I'm kind of looking at this from a more of a kind of like semi-professional perspective. So using this for professional jobs, but not necessarily like full time, as opposed to just flying for fun, getting in the air, and being able to rip around or do freestyle stuff. Because if you're doing, really to have the most fun and to be able to do the most things with the drone, or to be able to race and stuff, you want lightweight. You want as little on there as you possibly can have. So it's having super great video or super great transmission range when you're only flying like 100 yards away is not really going to benefit you. Floyd over on YouTube says, "Yeah, I run the DJI Goggles 3 and the O4 Air Unit Pro in my 8-inch long range drone. I love the equipment, but the company sucks." Yeah, yeah, like gosh, I wish that there was like an alternative to DJI, because it is not debatable that they have some of the best products out there. I mean, I'm filming this on a DJI Osmo camera with the mic, and my my normal setup is the DJI. I guess it's the Goggles 2 and DJI Air units and the Mavic 3 and all that stuff. So so that's the thing. I kind of just went full DJI so that things would kind of like play well together. But it looks like some of these other companies are catching up with the quality, or with the technology, I should say. But man, I being in America, I wish that there was an American company that was like DJI and could produce this stuff in the States. But unfortunately, it's a very barren land, it seems like, for consumer drones in the United States, or U.S. made consumer drones. East Coast Thrills says analog is more fun flying. Analog is more fun flying. Random blackouts and static noise keeps you on your toes. Yeah, it's definitely a different experience flying analog, which I haven't. Oh, I haven't flown analog in a good little bit. But yeah, like short range and well, people have been flying long range analog, but in the sense of you will get, most easily you will get the best reception flying short range with analog, and it's cheap, and so you can still have a lot of fun with it. So that's cool. Lloyd says, so the Walksnail Moonlight VTX does record in 4K, and it's just slightly less quality than the DJI, but it is still top notch. That's interesting. And Floyd says the GT is 2 watts output for long range. Oh, okay. Thank you. So the GT is like for long range, and that's why they'd have the heatsink, because it's pumping out 2 watts, which I think that might be bending the rules, depending on where you live and what you're doing. But that long range stuff is really cool. So I think you said the Walksnail Moonlight. Yeah, the Moonlight. So we have a very similar looking unit, or whatever you want to call that, the box part, the main components of the VTX. Yeah, we got that nice square ND filter on there, which makes it look way more cool. Yeah, because if it looks like that, it just looks like, it's an FPV camera, boring. But then you put that box on there, wow. So that's cool. So that's another. I mean, that's a whole other aspect as well. Super low light shooting performance, equipped with a Starlight sensor for stunning image quality in low light environments. It ensures a clear, detailed image can be captured at night or in poorly lit scenes. So that's kind of the thing. Oh well, that's another aspect which I can't I'm not up to date on as well. But the other aspect of if you're using the FPV camera to fly and for filming purposes, how do are you able to set that up or make them film differently, record differently versus what you see as the pilot? And I think with the technology that I have right now from DJI, which is the O3 series of air units, I'm pretty sure what you see in your goggles is how you're filming it, if I recall correctly. And with my particular setup, there's not a super quick way of adjusting that, which that is something. Maybe they fix that. Maybe they fix that. But that is definitely something that would be very beneficial if you are trying to film, to be able to change the camera settings, the filming settings, like on the remote or something where you don't have to like totally like reset, go into a menu and like you're still able to fly your drone and stuff. Um. Anyway, but the other thing that is really cool about something like the Starlight is that yeah, there are a lot of times where that would be super duper helpful to be able to fly in poor lighting, um, or even like at night. Like, I wonder if you could do that because, yeah, there could be situations where, um, well, like for one example would be like if you do have a separate camera, maybe you have a GoPro and you have that set up for low light, so you're trying to film, whatever these buildings on the river at night or just something at night when there's low light, and you want to be able to actually be able to see and fly in that situation, that would be a big deal. Yeah. Now, does this have image stabilization though? Hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look up some reviews about that to see the video performance of it. The thing about DJI is that they kind of started from the perspective of we need to get good video, like good recorded video first and foremost, because of how they started with their drones, with like being traditional camera drones with the Phantoms and then the Mavics and all that stuff. So I guess in that sense, it's almost like I trust that more. Um, but what I'm kind of finding is like a lot of times you might be just filming stuff that's for it's for YouTube, it's for social media where it's going to be on a tiny screen. It's going to be on a phone-sized screen, and you don't need your 5.5K GoPro to film something to get the job done. And that's the other crazy thing is that so much stuff nowadays, because it's on a small screen, there's like kind of so much wasted video quality, and the video quality doesn't even need to be amazing in the first place. So more and more, I think that having the recording camera built into the FPV camera makes a lot of sense. Although previously, what I was talking about was that really, I think the direction to go with the FPV drones, like for filming stuff, is the 360 style with the 360 camera, um, or possibly camera on a gimbal potentially. Yeah, so that's interesting. But so basically, that's kind of comparable to the DJI uh, uh, Air Unit Pro, and so it is cheaper in that regard. But then, as far as if it's like, okay, I'm doing walk snail, I just want to get into it. What is something I can what is something I can get into? What's the cheapest way to get into HD video? Which that's a great question. It looks like, well, you got the goggles here, so it looks like the goggles only, which is like a box. And I think this is the VRX, or the video receiver, is actually more than just the box goggles. But I guess if you have like Fat Shark goggles already or something like that, and you can plug those in, I think that's the idea there. I think that's how it started out, actually. Uh, Maybe something like this. Oh, Mini 1S Light Kit. So that would be like on an indoor style drone, perhaps. And then that looks like the Nano Kit V3. Maybe that's more of like a go-to. Perfect for racing and freestyle FPV. So that might be the case. So still $100 per VTX. Still pretty darn steep compared to analog. Over on YouTube, we got Gauge for P3M over on YouTube says, "Hi, I love 3D printing too." Well, that's fantastic, because that's what we do here on RC with Adam. We talk about 3D printing and drone stuff, which is what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the walk snail video stuff, and I'm just kind of exploring this and kind of hanging out because in the meantime, in between answering questions that you guys have. So if you are a beginner, or not a beginner, but especially if you're a beginner and you're confused about 3D printing and drones and stuff, how does it work? What's happening? Why is my drone on fire? I'm here to help, hopefully. And we have a few minutes left of our hour or so time together. So if you have questions or comments, you want to talk about something about drones or whatever, or 3D printing, leave it down in the comments section below. We are live. Oh, we got a question over on Instagram. Sorry, I don't even know how long that was over there. I was trying to look, but one-man show today. So we're live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So over on Instagram, we've got FPV. Can I use fiber link under the water? So the short answer to your question is I have no idea. The second question that I have to your question is, are you trying to fly a drone underwater? Because how's that going to work? But if you're talking about the like, let me see. Let me pull up this camera there. So if you're talking about like the fiber optic cable that we've seen FPV drones utilizing to fly longer, or not longer distance, but to fly even long distances without being jammed. If you're talking about that fiber optic kind of cable, would it work underwater? I don't see why not. But then again, I have zero experience or in-depth knowledge about the subject matter. So, yeah. Oh, there we go. Welcome back. So LA.H FPV says, yes, like a drone and a sub at the same time. Sounds cool. I could definitely see how that could be useful. Yeah, like I said, I don't really know, but I also don't see why it wouldn't work. I would think that one consideration would just be to make sure that the fiber optic cable doesn't get chopped up. And then, yeah, like, I don't know if it's like waterproof. I would imagine it's waterproof. I would think so, because, there's like moisture in the air, so that would be a problem in the air if it wasn't. What would be kind of cool would be like if it was like a sub. So it'd be like a sub that you control, and then you like swim it around, and you could do with like a fiber optic cable, I guess. And there would be a separate fiber optic cable for the drone. So instead of it being like you're pulling it all from like the same one, you could like do the sub like a certain distance, and then the drone could like maybe the submarine would like surface, and then the drone would like pop up, and then out of the top of that sub there'd be like another like spool where the FPV drone would hold on to it. Although so that's actually a question that I just realized that I had, is the difference between just having the drone holding onto the cable and flying versus the drone holding onto the spool because that's what I've seen the most. Is there's like a drum kind of cylinder shape underneath the drone, and then the fiber optic cable is getting spooled out from that. I'm guessing that probably would have like the least. Oh no, actually, yeah, that's what you'd have to do. No, yeah, because otherwise you're gonna have more and more resistance, like physical resistance on the cable from the weight of the cable pulling at the drone. So scratch that. But anyway, still the same kind of concept. So you could have a sub going through the water, and then you'd have that point where you launch the drone. That could be cool. Greg Dahl over on YouTube says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too. I hope you're having a good Christmas time. And hopefully getting to do some flying or some 3D printing. Oh, I missed this question here. Floyd over on YouTube, or it's not a question, it's a comment, says, yes, the recording from the goggles and VTX are different. We're talking about the Walk Snail. I'm not sure which one, but the Walk Snail, Avatar VTX says, yes, the recordings are from the goggles and the VTX are different. The goggles are only 1080p, but the onboard VTX records 4K. Yeah, the thing that I wonder about that is and Greg Dow says yes, good. The thing I wonder about that is like how do you adjust the settings from like the lighting settings and stuff. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact process for the DJI O3s, but I think I remember that it can be tricky because you want to record in one setting, maybe like to have like the best light, but then when you're flying, you don't care about that. You don't care about having, nice shadows or blowing out certain things and stuff when you're flying the drone. You want to be able to see a lot, and you don't want to have dark shadows where you might, run into things. So that's kind of what I was wondering, is like changing the brightness settings and stuff like that. Because also what I've noticed is with the O3 units is I think it's like if I set it to the frame rate. I think if the frame rate changes, like if it's like I think an auto frame rate, or maybe it's if I do 120 frames per second. I can't remember, but one of them, it feels really weird when I'm piloting the drone. But even though it's like supposed to look like that on the video, I'm pretty sure. But the correct way to do it is not have auto shutter speed. You want to set your shutter speed, and then you got to do the whole ND filter thing and all that stuff. So really, you know what I'd like to see? You know what I'd really like to see? DJI. I would really love to see like a FPV drone or FPV video system like the DJI Air Unit, or like the Air Unit Pro or whatever. But if it actually had variable shutter speed, that would be super cool. Yeah, that would be very cool. Greg Dow says, I bought the CADX Pro Ratel Pro, the Ratel Pro Analog Moonlight. Yeah. Floyd Cox says, gotta go, but it was nice chatting with you. Thanks again, Adam, for all your videos. Fantastic. Well, guess what, Floyd? I gotta go too. I think that's going to be the last of it. But have a fantastic day after Christmas. That's what today is. Have a good time. Do some flying. Do some eating. Do some hanging out with your family. And do some 3D printing and stuff. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Thanks, everybody who joined. And over on Instagram, La FPV says, thanks for your time, bro. I'm from Puerto Rico. I almost lost my drone on saltwater, but I find it 10 minutes and the DJI O4 survived. I open it, clean it very well, but I lost all my blue terminal putty. Oh, wow. Do you know where to buy the blue paste on the DJI O4 Pro? I do not. I don't know where to buy the the blue paste. But let me see if I can pull up the stuff that I use, because I think you're just talking about thermal paste. To be honest, I'm not sure if there's a specific kind. Let me go to where I bought some stuff. Let me see here. Let me do this. All right. I'm trying to find the thermal paste that I used before. What I use. All right, yeah. Let me share this screen with you. Called Arctic Thermal Paste. So this is what I've used for different stuff. I think I researched it and it was like supposed to be really good. It's made for putting heat sinks on like computers, CPUs, and stuff like that. So, and I think that's I'm pretty sure this is the paste that I used in my video where I was I was testing out doing putting thermal heat sinks on the O3 air unit. I also put a fan on one of them as well. Did I make a video about that? Because I made this little tiny, I modified this little tiny 2.5, I think, inch drone to be like a micro drone for filming with the O3 air unit, and then I put the thermal camera on there because I was in a situation where I was trying to film something, and then it was like this race, and then like the race like started, and just as that happened, the drone, the VTX like overheated, and it's like, oh, sorry, we've overheated. We're done now. We're just gonna like shut off now. So I was like trying to cool it off, and I couldn't, and it was terrible. It made me so sad. So I totally missed that shot because of it. So then I ended up putting heat sinks and a fan on it, which weighs extra. So not great for weight, but yeah. So La FPV over on Instagram, that is what I would personally put there to replace it. But I don't know if that's like technically the correct one or not. But that's what I got for you. So. And Greg Dow over on YouTube says thermal camera can't see through a hot car window. That is correct. Yeah. Wait, thermal camera can't see through a hot car window. Yeah. Well, thermal cameras, my understanding is it can't see through glass at all. So I guess you could tell if the glass is hot, but you cannot see through the glass because it has to like have nothing in between the thermalness. You can see through smoke, but not through glass, which is interesting. Anyway, that's going to do it. Fantastic. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I will see you later over on Instagram. Have a fantastic day after Christmas. Bye-bye. And, I got to actually click the end live video there. There we go. And let me pull it back over to here. Shabwam. There's my camera. And over on Facebook, I don't think anybody lives over on Facebook. But if anybody was over on Facebook watching, thanks for hanging out on Facebook. And I will see you again, I think, actually very soon. And last but not least, over on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. And I think we'll be back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Possibly tomorrow. I don't know. I'm going to be doing it as much as possible. We might have to change the times around, but thanks for hanging out. And if you know somebody else who needs help with their drones and 3D printing stuff, spread the word. Let them know to look out for the RC with Adam live streams. And we will see you later. Bye-bye.